There's been talk that we're supposed to be getting a brand new Need for Speed game before the end of the year, but I have no idea of whether or not it's actually going to be something that actually happens. And normally, when it comes down to video game releases, we normally see or hear about them like before they're released, or we see some kind of trailer or screenshots or what have you before they're officially released. With Need for Speed, we haven't really seen anything, and I'm not saying that we're not going to get a new Need for Speed game before the end of 2022. It's just that I don't think I've seen any trailers or anything from Electronic Arts in relation to a new Need for Speed game. Not to say that's not going to happen, but we haven't seen anything, and I believe it was revealed earlier this year that we were supposed to be getting a new Need for Speed game sometime before Gamescom, which takes place annually, and this year's event's supposed to be between August 24th and August 28th. I do feel that Need for Speed has lasted way longer than it has. Like, the series has been around since 1994. The very first game system appeared on was the 3DO, which is a game system hardly anybody knows about because it was a massive flop in retail. But the game became more and more popular over time. And in terms of its peak, a lot of people go on record and say that the game series peaked during the mid 2000s with Need for Speed Underground 1 and 2 and Need for Speed Most Wanted. Those are games I believe that came out like in the mid 2000s, like somewhere between '03 and '05. There were people who were fans of Need for Speed Carbon, which I believe came out in the late 2000s. And I believe there was a Need for Speed game that came out back in 2015, but the problem with that game is that it didn't have a lot of cars. It had like roughly around 50 cars or something. The latest Need for Speed game came out back in 2019. It was Need for Speed Heat. I actually own that game. Has about 127 different cars that players could choose from, and there's all kinds of makes and models of cars that you can choose from, such as BMWs, you have Chevys, you got Dodges, Ferraris, Fords, Hondas, Jaguars, Lamborghinis, Mazdas, you name it, they have it. And honestly, in terms of visuals and aesthetics and gameplay, Need for Speed Heat is probably one of the best games that Electronic Arts has released in a very long time within the series. And not to say that the other installments were bad or anything like that. It's just that Need for Speed Heat was made out to be a bigger deal than games that came before it prior to its release. And even though like the game looks impressive and you have seemingly endless customization options in Need for Speed Heat and cars to choose from, I believe the game was considered to be a flop for some reason, and not to say that it's good. It's just that it fell well below like desired expectations. Because I believe the game was expected to sell somewhere between 3 and 4 million copies worldwide, and I don't think it really came close to that, to be honest with you. Because I've been searching, I never found an exact number for how much Need for Speed Heat had sold since its release back in 2019. But to be fair, Need for Speed Heat was most likely overshadowed by games like Forza Horizon 4, which came out like during the third quarter of 2018, and then you had Gran Turismo Sport, which came out back in 2017, I believe. And those games they were massively successful, and a lot of people still play them. In terms of racing games in this day and age, there's a lot of casuals who still cater towards Forza and the Gran Turismo series for the most part. A lot of people are playing Gran Turismo 7 right now, and they're enjoying the latest Forza Horizon game that just came out. And honestly, I find it kind of ironic how Need for Speed, the series, basically, it thrived in terms of popularity during the 2000s. And that was a time period where the racing genre was very competitive. You had so many, racing titles out there, and some of them you don't even, see anymore. Like, you don't see nothing from, probably Project Gotham. You don't see anything from, the Burnout series. There's there were popular racers that came out in the 2000s that, and their series, like, you don't hear anything about it in this day and age. Like, when it comes down to like racing games, for the most part, casuals normally gravitate towards like the most popular like video game series out there. And in my opinion, even though like Forza has had the edge over Gran Turismo for the most part in the past few years, Gran Turismo overall is still a bigger name than the Forza series, and a lot of people love Gran Turismo 7, and I'm not exactly sure how much that game will sell before the end of the year. But as far as Need for Speed is concerned, I'm not exactly sure whether or not a new game is going to appear before 2023. But rest assured, we are definitely going to get a new Need for Speed game sometime in the future.